Well, I actually want to, before I even hit the scrimmage, it's just kind of a great week in Cal Poly Athletics. It was great to be at a soccer game on Wednesday and hear about our football results and that momentum of victory, success in the entire programs, and even looking back farther, looking at the 1981 group that made the Final Four. And our team's talking about that, and we're trying to build that winning tradition that we're seeing around us in the other sports. And this weekend's scrimmage at USF, indication of the direction we're moving, we're improved. The most confident thing I can say is that we are vastly improved from last year, a year ago going to USF for a game and looking at, and it was 0-15 before we scored a basket. Quite a different team and quite a different result during that. It's not an official score that we can keep and advertise, but it was a scrimmage that in the first 15 minutes we were in a very good position, let's put it that way. So we're very pleased with the 5 returners. They've had a lot of time in college experience. Chris O'Brien, David Hanson, Jordan Lewis, Sean Lewis, and Will Donahue played the majority of the minutes as starters, and were very confident, very aggressive, and very poised, and we're very pleased with them. Off the bench, though, we are bringing 5 freshmen. The only guy that has any kind of college basketball experience is Drake Yu, who came in off the bench and did a nice job. Physically was strong and aggressive, knocked down a couple shots. But then after that was Jamal Johnson, pure freshman. It was Malik Love, pure freshman. It was Ben Kelly from Australia as a pure freshman. And it was Ben Eisenhart, who was injured, didn't get in, had a bad ankle, but should be available. And then Ryan Pembleton, a 6'10", redshirt freshman. So we're bringing in 0 experience off the bench, and so that's a great part about coaching, is that my job is to develop a bench. We have a good solid 5-6, and now we're going to develop freshmen to get some playing time and develop them across, hopefully by the time we've played 25 games, they're really in a position to no longer be called freshmen. We want them to be contributors for conference play, and certainly the second time around when you play somebody in conference, they should have 22, 23 games under their belt ready to go.
You talked about your team last week in the green and gold scrimmage. What did you see again in the scrimmage against a separate team that was different from that green and gold scrimmage?
The team that actually won the scrimmage was just simply more poised to start off with. They were able to stay, we call it, stay in formation under fire, and they just were able to run what they're supposed to run, even though, there's a little pressure. Our weakness right now is just handling that pressure when you bring in the newcomers, the freshmen. So when you get somebody traps real quickly, is not panicking and being strong with the basketball. So team that won it had a little more poise overall, and that's what we're looking for. And they had a few more returners at the point guard spot, and Jamal did a nice job, but it was still not the leadership experience that Chris would have right now.
And then you have a game this week against Cal State East Bay. It's an exhibition, but what are you looking to see out of your team for that game to improve over your last scrimmage?
Well, we're just going to measure ourselves from this Saturday. We played well Saturday, but we have to see some bench contributions on Saturday. We got to be able to go to our bench and not have confusion, and we can't have missed assignments. Basically be in a position that you don't have to win the game as a freshman, but you can't have too many major errors. So as you watch a sub, what we're looking for is contribution of solid play. You don't have to come in and knock down 3 shots or get a double-double, but you can't have back-to-back turnovers or forget assignments defensively. So I hope we see that on Saturday.
Joe, with the 5 freshmen you talked about, how will you balance this weekend, and if not the first 2-3 games of the season, of getting these guys some experience, but
right,
still trying to win a game?
It's called spoon feeding. We're not going to try to put 5 of them in at one time. We're not going to have a mass sub and rotate them in. It's like a guy gets in for 5 minutes and you have a lot of support around them so that they're not having to think and run a team completely by themselves. So what we'll look at is 5 minutes in, 5 minutes out. We'll substitute by position instead of by just going necessarily rotating and getting an entire second group out. So you'll see what I would say maybe not the purest substitution pattern, but we will sub, but will be substitution pattern that looks at the long haul, that we got to get you in, but we don't want to get you in with the wrong lineup that doesn't allow you to have support to grow. So sometimes your rotation is pretty easy when you're playing 7 or 8. Well, we won't play 7 or 8. We'll try to play 10 and pop them in and out for 5 minutes, so everybody gets a taste. We got to keep on getting them taste, and you got to kind of stick to that through the preseason, trying to play 10 through the preseason. I've always been a believer of that. College coaches I've been with have been play through 10, try to force yourself to play, 10 guys. Now, it doesn't mean a lot, but they've got to try to play until you get that experience.
How does the rule work in the exhibition game for someone that you'd like to redshirt? Can you still play him?
Yeah,
this
it's
weekend?
a good question. It's a unique rule. As an incoming freshman, the first time that you're there, you can actually play in an exhibition game and still redshirt. If you were here or a transfer, if you're a junior college transfer or a returning player, a la Will Taylor is likely to redshirt this year, he cannot play in an exhibition game and then claim that as a redshirt year. But so all the first-time eligible players could play in that game and still redshirt afterwards. So Ben Kelly or Malik Love or Jamal could play in this game and still redshirt afterwards. Other guys can't do that, so they're good to go.
Coach, is Will hurt? Why you may redshirt him, or is it just?
Well, Will's actually wanted to redshirt, and we going into the season kind of worked with him to try to look at that as a year that he wanted to redshirt. He's fine academically, he's fine socially, he's in good graces. He wants to be in a position academically to graduate when he's finished with his eligibility. And so as a transfer, he has an extra 2 quarters from missed credits coming in, so he's an academic in very good standing. He has some tendonitis issues that he's dealt with, and so he's been on a minimal practice routine. And this is prior to going into the season. The plan was to see if we have the option to have him redshirt and have some more depth the following year, and really put these freshmen in a position that they've got to play. And it forces the hand for Ryan Pembleton and Ben Eisenhart to get out and give us contribution 10 minutes a night or more.
Is this the youngest bench you've had in your college coaching career?
Well, I was a junior college coach, so we had a lot of freshmen and sophomores. That was about the only time. But as far as a 4-year coach, yes. And, usually you like to have 2 or 3 freshmen in a program and try to filter that in, having some court balance. But at this point, it is what it is, and what we are is young, and we're going to have to do a nice job of balancing that transition. And then we'll do it, and they'll do it. It's just going to be a little bit patient with them.
Does that mean Royer's not on the team, or what's?
Well, no. Dylan comes in as a spot shooter, and he's got a little bit more experience than those guys right now. But he's going to have to fight for minutes with Ben Kelly and Malik Love, and depending upon the situation, Dylan's excellent for us against teams that are zoning. Against an aggressive man-to-man, Malik's much quicker, much more aggressive on the drive. So there'll be games that if we're getting played soft and there's a zone, then Dylan's really a key for us. But as of right now, him and Matt Tichnell are kind of spot position guys right now.
Okay. And so as far as what fans can expect this weekend, first glimpse of the new Mustangs, I mean, similar styles last year? Or, I mean, how is it you would pitch it to the fans out there, what they can expect to see? Well,
without giving a whole scouting report away, I think that probably our strength is really our versatility. We have a 6'4" point guard that goes inside out, and we run activity where he's able to post some. And our bigs are able to step out and reverse. David Hansen played very, very well because he's playing in, out, and around. We're just looking for mismatches, and we have that first starting lineup. When you look at it and introduce a starting lineup, you're going to see 5 very strong, physically developed young men that can play and pass and move in different positions. Will Donahue, as big as he is an outstanding perimeter player. He's probably one of our best 1 or 2 perimeter passers, feeding the post, reversing the ball, shaking the ball. Basketball IQ is excellent. And then, you think Will Donahue's a big guy until you go against USF, and he's actually a very medium post player. His length isn't 6'9" with long arms and high vertical. So we're going to use him in different ways, especially in the preseason when we're playing against much deeper benches, stronger physical post guys. Josh Smith from UCLA, 6'9" with a 7-foot wingspan and 275 pounds. I mean, Donahue's not so big now. And so we want to use that and take him away where we have the advantage to take a guy like O'Brien or Sean Lewis or David Hansen, or even playing David Hansen maybe as a 2, and posting him up quickly. And so inverting the game, which is I've been a huge fan of from day one, is that you can play inside out and invert the game with your so-called guards playing in and your bigs playing out. It kind of makes teams look at how do you guard somebody. So we look at that as a real advantage.